On 58, you'll have a little chart that takes up about half. About half. You guys will see we've got a teacher that takes about half. Did you need more time with the work? We're actually just, I'm just gonna show you guys. On page 58, we've got a teacher that takes about half.
Like you get more than an doesn't start that or hydrogen and all those stuff comes out. Well, we don't have enough. Then we start to exactly. Maybe one of the years they can and then make a four.
Alright. It's right there too. Let's talk again. So if you needed more time with the table of contents, remember it's over here as well. So if you guys on page 58 would go ahead and set up a T-chart, that'll take up about half the page. Save the lower half for something else. So what we're going to do is as a class, we're going to see what was our evidence that photosynthesis is more important. Because I would say about half of you guys felt that that was the case. And then as a class, what were we thinking about cellular respiration and what was our evidence that that should be considered the more important process. So T-chart on page 58. And first I'm just going to get some random people's ideas about what pieces of evidence they wrote about, and then we'll just fill in with volunteers and see if there are other ideas that belong up on this board as well. So let's see. Cesar. So Cesar, on page 55 for your wrap-up, did you say that photosynthesis or cellular respiration was more important? And what was your reason for that? Creating oxygen. So Cesar says photosynthesis was more important because it creates oxygen. How many of you guys had that same argument that it creates oxygen? It was a pretty common one yesterday. Good. Let's see, another random person first. Maria, did you say cellular respiration or photosynthesis? Photosynthesis as well. And what was your reason for that? The same. We can put a little check mark to say that we have the same. Let's choose another person's absent. Juan, which one did you say was more important? 55 wrap up. And what was your reason? Same? Okay, we'll see if I can get a random person who has another idea. But if not, we'll see if we can get some volunteers. Chris, which side of the debate are you on? Cellular respiration, and what was your reason for saying that that is the more important cellular process? It's what? To help it grow? Is that what you said? Okay, so cellular respiration is more important because it helps things grow. So we use that oxygen, we use that food, we break it down, and it makes it so that we and plants can grow. Good idea. Let's see. Alina, what did you believe? Photosynthesis or cellular respiration? And what was your reasoning for that?
Because it's energy from food.
Cool. So, what was your wording again? I want to
Gives energy from food.
gives energy from food. Good. It gives energy from food. All right. So if you look at your own page 55, do you have an argument that would support this claim that we don't have up here yet?
I
I saw lots of good ideas. Are we missing anything?
Doesn't it solar respiration creates energy too?
Yeah, so,
Oh, my bad,
she just said it like in a different way. So it gives us energy from food, but we could say it a different way. Maybe when you're in the debate, you'll want to say it the way you mentioned it. So it creates energy. Is that what I heard you say? It creates energy. It creates energy. It's not bad to have more than one way to say it. Anything else that photosynthesis does that could make someone believe it's more important? Okay. Any other reason cellular respiration could be seen as more important? Tara, what do you think?
It creates carbon dioxide.
So it creates carbon dioxide. And to take that the next step, what's so good about carbon dioxide?
We breathe it. Right?
Do we use it when we breathe in? If we take a look, let's just double check. So here's what we breathe in, or what we're trying to breathe in. Carbon dioxide does come in, but this is what we're using. But what does use carbon dioxide? So carbon dioxide goes into the plant cell. So it creates carbon dioxide, which, and what would need carbon dioxide then? Which type of organism would need carbon dioxide? Because I like where you're headed. Carbon dioxide is important for another process, just not for us to breathe. The plants. Yeah, so she said it, I heard you say it too. It creates carbon dioxide, and I'm just gonna say which plants need. So this is something that kind of keeps the whole cycle going. So really good ideas. Alrighty. So then your job now, you've got lots of different ideas. Your job is to choose what language you want to use in this debate. I think I can make this bigger. You don't need to write this whole thing down. I'll share with you what you're writing in just a minute. All right, so we have some sentence starters for a debate. And you'll notice that they have different symbols by them. And those symbols show you kind of what level of language it is. If you see a dot, that means it's kind of beginner level language. Beginner level is kind of like what you would do in elementary school, but it's also kind of just how we talk casually. First period, you may be feeling kind of tired. You might be inclined to choose beginner level language, and that's totally okay. If that's where you're at, that's fine for today. I might kind of encourage you to go a little higher, but if you're choosing beginner level, you're just going to write down below your T-chart, I agree because, and then you would also write down, I disagree because. So you're going to choose and write down at least one sentence starter from the agree, one sentence starter from the disagree. So that was beginner. You'll see with the triangle, that's what we would call intermediate. That's kind of middle level. So kind of like middle school. Middle school level, maybe when you were a freshman, it kind of takes it up a notch. So potentially you'd say something like, that's true, I also think that, or that makes sense because, or I don't think that's right since, and that's not how I see it, I think. So a little bit more complex. So if you're feeling that, choose one of those. And then finally, we've got the more advanced language. And this is what we see kind of a little later in high school. And so if you're kind of wanting to bring it to the higher level, kind of push yourself a little bit, and I know that all of you guys are capable of using these sentence starters, this is the most sophisticated one. So that's how I see it too, because, when you agree, I agree with the point that, and then if we're going to disagree, actually, isn't it true that, or another way to look at it is, so you're going to want one agree sentence starter, one disagree sentence starter, and we will use these with our table group in just a couple minutes. So I'm just going to come around and see that you have one from each agree or disagree.